Bam. Fast episode this week. All right. Welcome on in to Mosaic MC in second and short. For you guys, it's been forever. It's been like a week. For us, it's been 5 minutes. Back-to-back episodes. And we're going to talk about today. Jason, what are we talking about?
We're talking about that value pick you're going to get from 51 to 100.
ADP.
And we got some really interesting takes and some really gems to uncover during this discussion.
We do. And if you missed who we thought were great value picks with ADPs right now from 1 to 50, go back and check out last week's episode. Go through our social medias and see all of our graphics that we made and polls that we put up on. We're going to ask everybody if they think these are great value picks at this spot. We're going to talk about what they are in their position, what number they are, what overall draft they are, and where that would fall in your 12-team base league. One quarterback PPR leagues. Obviously, if we talk Superflex, these things are going to change. If we talk Dynasty, there's going to be slight changes as well. We're just going to talk redraft for you guys because we're in redraft season. So let's tailor to redraft people. So starting us off, who was our first value pick when you're going down that list? We started 51, and we kind of skipped a couple pages here and went all the way to the 60s. What do you got?
Right here, I'm taking the tight end 7 coming off the board in most ADP single quarterback formats, and that's TJ Hockenson, who is sitting at ADP 68, like I said, tight end 7, with a huge ceiling. Why do I say a huge ceiling? Because you're going to see this Detroit team take a step forward. You're going to see the emergence of St. Brown. They drafted a really good receiver in Williams. You still got Swift in the backfield. Hawkinson's going to benefit from all this. Goff is a managing quarterback. He is not a super star quarterback, and I hate to say that. I like him as a quarterback. I like him as a person, everything I see that he does, but he is one of these Alex Smith type game managing quarterbacks. And the favorite thing for a game managing quarterback is their tight end, because they just want to move the chains and get down the field to let their superstar players have the spotlight when you get Swift running the ball or catching it out of the backfield. You also have Jamal Williams still there that catches a lot of balls out of the backfield. And you're going to be able to open up the field on these go routes with a 2-burner wide receiver. So what is open? Middle of the field for Hockenson to eat. And I think this is a great value because you're going to get a tight end 1 for your team at a late position when you're filling in all those positions. You're going to be able to get somebody that's going to come in and immediately contribute and help win you championships.
Yeah, and so we saw some games missed. He went from playing 16 games to playing 12, missed 5 games the end of the season. Had one real stinker against Pittsburgh where the whole game kind of just was a weird game. But outside of that, I mean, he played really well. I mean, his snap percentage is pretty high. He normally sits like at 80s up in, snap percentage that he plays. He went from tight end 5 in PPR standards in 2020 when he played 16 games to tight end 15. That's a missing 5 games. He fell 10 spots. In that 5 games missed, though, we're talking an extra 17 targets that he didn't have. He's also down in touchdowns. So we're talking about a guy that had a little bit of regression because of injury, because of the offense wasn't as good. But I mean, adding in, and I'm going to say they still added Amon-Ra St. Brown this year because they didn't really have him for the full season. It was kind of end of the year. And so Hockenson and Amon-Ra St. Brown really didn't get to mesh and gel with each other really that we had yet. I didn't think it was like a full go. And I think that's actually that addition of those two playing together at full go, full strength is going to look great. Lions already making contract extensions with TJ Hockenson a priority right now. On top of that, we're looking at DeAndre Swift. If he's healthy, that's another option to take away looks from TJ Hockenson, but also defensively, it leaves more people to watch. Jameson Williams is going to look really good when he's with this team as well. And I think DJ Chark is a real big sleeper here that is really good at stretching the field, which is going to allow that middle ground, that 8 to 12 yards, to be feasted on by TJ Hockenson. He's on the field a lot because he blocks well. He's healthy, catches the ball well. Anytime we can see a tight end that hits over 100 targets, I safely can say that he can hit top 5 numbers. And I just think for him, really, it just comes down to how consistent Goff can be.
Yeah, and a lot of people are sleeping on him because he's in Detroit. Detroit doesn't get a lot of fanfare, even though they've got some players that are good fantasy players. And you also got to think, what's the biggest thing that we like in fantasy that nobody talks about? Garbage points.
Yeah.
Because if a team is down, they're not going to run the ball. They're going to pass. You got a big pass catching tight end, he's going to see more targets. So, and people disparage garbage points like, well, I want somebody that's going to produce all game. Okay, that's fine. Do that. Give me all the garbage points in the world. I will take them. They're still points. They still help lead teams to victory.
Absolutely do. And another thing too is last year we saw 5 tight ends hit 100 targets. And of those tight ends that hit 100 targets, every single tight end finished top 9 in PPR standards. So what we're saying is that you can, the first 5 rounds of this, and you can get him, maybe you get him at the turn and you go a little bit earlier than his ADP, which is what we're kind of pushing in this area. Like if you can get him in this range, it's fantastic. Get him a little earlier, great, good, because you're going to benefit. But you can solidify your 2 running backs, 3 receivers, or vice versa, and then come back and get TJ Hawkinson in the beginning of the 6th. And I think that if he falls a little bit, you're going to thrive even more. We're talking about a guy that is, in my opinion, going to improve his touchdowns, improve his targets, improve his catches, improve his yards, just because he was injured last year for 5 games. And if we can guarantee, if I can sell you something and guarantee it, then I want to do that. I can't guarantee you that anybody else at other positions in the 6th round is going to finish top 10. But if he's going to hit 100 targets, he's going to finish top 10. Like that, There's no question to that. Granted, that was Stafford, but that was also, I mean, even with Goff, he still hit 84 targets. We're talking 17 less targets. So actually on that trajectory, he would have actually probably hit like 120 targets. We're talking like where he would have done more. So in that case, we're talking about another 300-400 yards. We're talking about another 3-4 touchdowns. We're talking about another 10 to 12 catches, just jumps.
So next, who are we talking about?
We're going to move on to wide receiver 38. So an ADP value from 51 to 100 that we think is great value is wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster. Getting drafted 81 overall, which gets us good at pick 8.09. This is your guy. Lead us off.
Yeah, this is one that leaves me scratching my head because upgraded quarterback who just lost their
that's an understatement, really, but continue.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying, a vast jump at quarterback play. Mm-hmm. A team that just lost their top wide receiver, mm-hmm. who has targets to be there.
159 targets abandoned from just Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill. And
he goes to a conference that is known to sling the ball a lot.
A division.
Division. Mm-hmm. And this just doesn't make sense. Why is he following this? Because he's proven when he was healthy in Pittsburgh that he can produce. He's got good hands. He's got good open field elusiveness, and he's slid so far down. Now the injury, like we talked, injuries happen. Everybody says, "Well, he was hurt. He's got injury concern." I don't care. This is almost 160 targets that are abandoned. He steps into a leaps and bounds better quarterback situation that can throw the ball where Big Ben arm was depleted. Mahomes can sling a ball, mm-hmm. and you can take on the matchups downfield and be the burner that he was and is capable of. So I think this is an area where you can get a really high-end wide receiver too, really late in your draft. And these are the picks that we talk about that win or lose championships for you.
This is true. And so not only Tyreek Hill, but also Valdez Scantling, who had like 50 some odd targets. Talking about Williams, the running back as well, that's now in Arizona. That's like another 50 targets. So we're talking like 270 abandoned targets So if everybody's like, well, they're going to go to McCall Hardman, or, oh, I love Sky Moore because I love rookies. Okay, cool. They can all have 90 targets. They literally, we just give all three of them 90 targets and it's good. And that on top of that actually leaves more abandoned targets still that Jones can take the rest of them because Hardman's going to have his targets and we're going to improve those. He had 83 targets last year. So let's just say he gets another 20. That's still 250 to go between everybody else that's new. Juju Smith-Schuster is a player that is not getting the credit that he should get credit for. This is a guy that had wide receiver one, once was a guy that was getting looked at as a top 12 dynasty startup pick, and he's in 2020 was wide receiver 17 and 2018 was wide receiver 8, 2017 wide receiver 20. He had 2 down seasons. So now everybody's just kind of off that board, but we're talking 3 times he finishes a top 20 receiver when he played a majority of those games and he didn't have any injuries. The years that he only played 12 and 5 games, yeah, he didn't finish the top 20 receiver. And now you're getting him at wide receiver 38. I think if anybody can make that jump from a projected wide receiver 4 right here to a wide receiver 2, it's Juju Smith-Schuster. And there's another guy we're going to talk about that I think similarity can also do that. Oh, wide receiver 34, sorry. So he's a back end wide receiver 3. He's going to make that jump. Let's continue though. And let's just get crazy. Let's get wild. Let's go one more pick. Running back 33. We're going to talk about who has value between 51 and 100. Like maybe I'm going to go 0 RB and I'm just going to get my tight ends, my receivers. I'm going to draft a running back in like the 6th round, 7th round, which isn't really 0 RB. But then I'm sitting there and I'm like, who's this Rashad Penny guy? So at pick 82, 810, let's say Juju's already gone and you're still there. Rashad Penny has RB1 upside as a starting running back for you that you can get in the 8th round, maybe the 7th if you decide to go risky and go early. I think that we are really underrated. Like we're not giving him credit on what he did in 2021. He played in week 1 and then didn't play again until week 7. Okay. And then kind of played every now and then from weeks 13 to weeks 18. He eclipsed 130 yards 4 times. And we're talking times where he was averaging like 6 yards per touch, 5 yards per touch. He scored lots of touchdowns in those final 5-6 weeks. Was it 6? We've got him sitting with 6 touchdowns in the final 6 weeks. We're talking him having like 700 yards. Like it was insane. Chris Carson now retires. They go out and draft Kenneth Walker, who I believe has an ADP around the same range. Penny's slowly climbing the ranks, but at running back 33, we're talking about a guy that they don't think can actually, on a bad team, who's going to be losing a lot. Granted, why would they run the ball? But they're going to throw the ball to him as well. I think really Penny has an opportunity to be an RB2 this year, and we're dismissing it because he's been hurt in the past. And I think that we're all going to regret this if we don't take advantage of it now.
Yeah, and the 2 biggest knocks on Penny is the drafting of Walker and his injury history.
Right.
Like we said, go back, listen to our other episode. We break down our thoughts on playing scared and drafting people because of their past injury. Go back, listen to that episode. We dive deep into that. I think you have to take the gamble here, because if you hit big. If you miss, you still have that grace period where you can miss and it not cripple your team. But I think you're going to hit more often than miss on this, taking Penny here, because Penny is a solid running back when given the opportunity.
I mean, if we're looking at his yards per carry, outside of his 2020 season when he only played 3 games, he had 11 rushes. That's it. Rookie year, 4.93 yards per carry. Second year, 5.69 yards per carry. Took a dip when he only had 11 touches when he got hurt. But then last year, with 119 touches, the most he's had in a season, 6.29 yards per carry. The trend that we're saying here is that it's probably not going to hold up, but he's going to get over 4 yards per carry. He's not going to Cam Akers this 2 point, whatever Cam Akers gets, 2.7 yards or 2.6, whatever that is. He's actually a guy that's going to hit people. I mean, playing over I think he's like 225, something like that he's playing at, 220. he makes contact and can continue to drive and get an extra yard or two. And with a team that isn't going to trust Drew Lock a lot, I expect the first quarter of every Seattle game to go run, crap, let's throw a pass. Hey, run, crap, throw a pass. Hey, run. Hey, almost got a first run again. Like that's how it's going to go. And sure, will Walker dip into that? 100%. I think he will. But if we get a split backfield 50-50, I mean, he's gonna thrive at that role at RB33, and I think he'll finish higher than that.
Yeah, and this is one of those players that, like, you got to think that he never got the opportunity to shine because Carson was a serviceable back.
Yeah,
you had the injury, the knock on. Yeah, you forget that. Throw all that out the window. Let's go on. We need to look on what have you done for me lately, and that's what you need to base this on. Look at that game stretch. Yes, Walker's going to come in. Walker's not going to know the playbook. Penny has been cemented in this organization and in this playbook for his career.
Pete Carroll obviously likes this guy. Like, it's obvious. Otherwise, he'd be done with him. And guys getting drafted ahead of him are Tony Pollard, who has Zeke in his way, who is more established than Kenneth Walker. We have Cordell Patterson, who's he's a 31-year-old running back converted, who I think is a fantastic player, but he has to deal with Marcus Mariota as well, and Kyle Pitts, and now Drake London. They go out and got some more options. Granted, so does Seattle. But it's not like those options are like, I don't know. It's that I don't think Cordell Patterson is locked in as the running back one on his team. I think that he could, but I mean, Algiers is right there working with him. I think they're going to slowly transition. Kareem Hunt got Chubb in front of him. Devin Singletary, that's a sneaky one that could sneak up and everything, but they just drafted James Cook as well. So why aren't we worried about him? And that's like a full round hire. And then there's a huge gap before we get to other guys like Damian Harris and Miles Sanders, who all have concerns with them with playing in New England and not being able to score touchdowns. Isn't that kind of funny? The sidebar, Miles Sanders and Damian Harris are drafted back to back at ADP right now. And one scores lots of touchdowns. One doesn't know what an end zone looks like. It's pretty crazy.
Well, one knows what the end zone looks like, but it's only if he breaks away.
Yeah. So Rashad Penny, get him in the 7th round. If you nail your first 6 picks and he busts, yes, 7th round pick busted. If somehow you get in the 8th and he's still there, your 8th round pick busted. That's okay. We take risks in these ranges.
Yeah.
And I think he has a better chance than those other guys we said to maybe jump because he's going to be the RB1 at least to start. And he's going to help you out right away. And he might be somebody that you draft this range, outperforms, and then you trade him for a position that you need. Last pick. Wide receiver 38, getting drafted at 89 overall. Let's go the next round. 9.05. Tyler Lockett. How dare us? Like, why is he getting drafted as a wide receiver 4?
Because one, people don't realize how good Lock is, and I'm a Lock homer.
Mm-hmm.
I if you listen to the show for any length of time, Mike Williams and Tyler Lockett are the two guys I praise at wide receiver, unmistakably. I'm their hype train engineer. But this is where I think people don't realize. People look at DK Metcalf, which is a phenomenal player, but let's take a look at the games when Russell Wilson didn't play and look at Lockett's stats. He outperformed DK Metcalf by leaps and bounds. He is a player that is sneaky, that can win championship. So if you're going to get him at a wide receiver 4, he's going to put up wide receiver 2 numbers.
I mean, yeah, his last 4 years, and everybody's going to say, well, that's with Wilson. And you're not wrong. I'm not going to argue there. We're talking about receiver 17, 13, 8, and 15. That is all playing all 16 games. If we go all the way back to his rookie year, he's missed 1 game. Knock on wood, maybe I'm jinxing. But availability is a fantastic ability, especially in the 9th round. If you get him in the 8th round, I think that's fantastic too. I think guys like, this is sidebar type thing. I think Adam Thielen's getting underlooked as well. It's a guy that's a little bit later, can score a lot of touchdowns, good offense. This Tyler Lockett, though, he doesn't have a great offense, but with Russell Wilson, he averages 9 touchdowns a season the past 4 years. I mean, he's 10-8, 10-8. the past 4 years. Wide receiver 15 last year in PPR, wide receiver 10 in standard, which is even more impressive. He doesn't miss time. He catches a lot of passes. He gets a lot of touchdowns. He's still got some good speed. And if the Seahawks are as bad as we think they are, Rashad Penny is going to do really well early in the game. Tyler Lockett's going to do fantastic in third and fourth quarters.
Garbage points, as we stated, garbage points will win games.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If Seattle was full in tank mode and they weren't going to try and compete and win games, Lockett would have been out of there. 29 years old. They have no reason to hold on to him, except for the fact that Pete Carroll freaking loves this guy. Lockett loves playing in Seattle. He has a relationship with Geno Smith. And we can't act like Drew Lock didn't have good weeks with Cortland Sutton or Judy here and there. Tim Patrick had some good weeks. Like, players had good weeks. Like Noah Fant was like, when he played down in Denver with Drew Lock, who's probably going to have some connection here, obviously in Seattle, if Drew Lock starts, was like tight end like 10. So I mean, it's not like he doesn't feed people. They're gonna be losing games. They're gonna be throwing the ball a lot. So you can go back to back Seattle here, and I think you're gonna be benefiting because Penny in the 8th and Lockett in the 9th are gonna provide lots of value for you here in the 80s. We're talking guys that are getting drafted, back end of your bench. It's a high end of your bench, back end of your starting lineup. And they're going to outperform other players around them, I think.
And another thing you got to take into your thought process when drafting. Sometimes you're not drafting for need. You're drafting so nobody else gets this player to beat.
Yeah, 100%. And with that being said, this is the end of our second of 4. We're going all the way to 200 episode. ADP 51 to 100 value picks that we think will help you in your league, just because they're value. So go out there and get that great value. Draft them a little early, that's fine. And if we're wrong, I'm sorry that your 7th, 8th, and 9th round picks don't do well for you. There's no way if your second half of your draft doesn't do well, there's no way your first half of your draft doesn't do well. I mean, somebody's got to pan out. So either these guys are going to make up for your bad picks in the beginning, or they're going to bust out and it doesn't matter because your top picks are carrying you. Follow us on all social medias, like this video, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week when we break down players 101 through 150 that we think will be great value. And get out there and make some trades.